What's up, everybody? This is your boy Rocky and Coach Cole. We're a special edition of HBCU Coach's Corner. I was having a conversation today with Coach Cole, and we were having this conversation, and Coach Cole was lamenting of how unfortunate it is for a young man like the former Michigan coach Sherrone Moore to ascend to the highest levels of coaching, to coach at a Power 5 school up in the North, Coach, for which you are very familiar, being that you are a Northerner yourself. You're an Ohio guy. You're familiar with that rivalry and everything. And one of the things you said to me, Coach, while we were discussing this, and you were just agonizing over the mistake that the young man had made very early in his career, you said, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. This wouldn't be a problem if he had to beat Ohio State. That's what you said, Coach. You said it wouldn't be a problem if he had been at Ohio State. Coach, you know and I know, being in this space for just a very little time, I know this. People come tell me things about coaches. People come tell me things about people on coaching staffs, right?
Right.
Things of this nature. We don't report on them because that's not what we do here. We don't care about who someone is dating, sleeping with, going out to lunch with, having an argument with, having a conversation with, smoking with, having a cigar with. That's not what we do here. But one thing I do know, and before we get started in this conversation, is one thing Chiron Moore didn't get the message from Brother Umar Johnson. And here's Brother Umar's message.
Black walnut, black almond queens. It's black queens forever. Snow bunnies never.
Now, he didn't get that message, Coach.
He didn't get that message, Coach. Not at all.
A lot of people. Now you said, Coach, you don't think it would. You know, a lot of people are saying it's the relationship, the inappropriate relationship with the woman. The woman, he happens to be white. People may have had a problem with him being with a white woman. You said that was not the problem whatsoever, Coach. You felt like the problem was him losing Ohio State. Kind of explain this to people, how you kind of come up with that as being.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, winning football programs is about finance and money. You know, don't let it get it twisted. You know, I didn't like the way they went about the way they went. And of course, you know, we don't know the inside because they had to have a PI out on this guy, you know, a private investigator, to make sure that they cover all ends. And it probably was ready just to move on with the head coach without, you know, paying that big dollar, you know, for moving him on and moving him around. The thing that I just didn't like about it is, if you're going to get rid of him, get rid of it. You know, I don't know if he fought it and they had to come out with the evidence and say, okay, we know this, and about you. I'm not sure about that, but evidently he did, for them to have to come out and explain and give a reason. Besides that, hey, we just wanted to move the program in another direction.
Coach, why? That's interesting. In these situations, are coaches generally given an opportunity to resign?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, ain't no question. I mean, you know, of course, I've been through it myself and had the opportunity to resign, even though it came out a different way in my case. But I did have an opportunity to say, hey, look here, let's sit down and settle. We want to, you know, I'm going to resign, but you got to finish paying me my contract.
Now, Coach, one of the things that got me about this whole story was, the story came out yesterday, and I was a big Chiron Moore fan. Matter of fact, let me just explain this to you. There are not that many Division I black college coaches, right?
Right.
There are certainly not that many Power 4 black college Division I coaches. You know what I mean? And so him being a winning coach, right? Somebody who was 9-3, I thought personally he had a bright future in coaching, and I was hoping that he could have a long career, a long tenure at the University of Michigan. right?
Right.
I didn't realize till doing my research that a lot of people thought that he had been hired because he was handpicked by John Harbaugh, and that they didn't believe that he truly had deserved, getting that post at Michigan. I'll ask you, I say Michigan, who deserves to coach at Michigan? It's one of the most prestigious universities in America. I would say it's if not a top 5 job, it's certainly a top 10 job, right? And having a black man at the helm of a top 10 job, I just thought it was just a good look for the culture and a good look for college football. But to find out last night that he had been fired and what he had been fired for, Coach, I can honestly say I was a little bit disheartened by it, because he ultimately got fired not because of, like you said, the reason why he was fired was because of inappropriate conduct. You ultimately said to me, if he had beat Ohio State, they would have found a way to keep that quiet. Now again, so Coach, me and you have had candid conversations about this. For whatever reason, when the administration wants to get rid of you or something like this, do administrators, do chancellors, do presidents start looking, when they can't fire you for winning, do they start looking for other things to let you go about?
Well, it's all about the contract and it's all about the money. Don't let it fool you. This situation when he was hired kind of reminded me of the Florida A&M thing. They thought, well, let's keep this thing rolling. We got a national championship. He was at the helm for so many games. When Harbaugh came back, he ended up leaving, right? So it was the same thing in Florida A&M with Simmons winning, and they thought, well, let's keep the assistant on cozy and let's keep this thing rolling. And unfortunately, it didn't end up like that. I mean, he ended up beating Ohio State, the 2 years after that, but they kind of fell off this year and one ranked real high. It's a lot of things go behind doors with board members and presidents and ADs when they don't want the head coach that they have, whether it's a winning record or whether it was not a winning record, and that's what kind of happened to him. They had to put some type of and he gave them reason to look up. You're 9-3, and of course, in schools like that, you got to be 10 in something, or playing for the national title, or ranked in the top 10. All right. Supposedly, he gave this staffer a 55% raise from nowhere. That's going to open people's eyes. And, you can't take away that his color is a black man, that's got to walk a little softer. We've been around for years. I've been around for years and years and years, that we don't get them second and third chance. We just had a coach, 2 or 3 years ago at Michigan State, got let go behind the same thing. You know what I mean? So it ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. And, I was a little deterred when I found out, all the things that he went through and did after, they had gave him the information. Now, also I'm reading now that he had some type of mental illness, and we know how that is. But, you lose yourself. A lot of us want the money these people make. Everybody want to be rich, rich, rich. But rich don't make you wealthy. And you lose yourself. You know what I mean? It's just a job. You ain't the first one that just don't have to say. What you should have been doing was at home with your wife on your knees begging and crying, I made a mistake, and get your family back together. He'll get another coaching job. He'll lay low for about 2 years. He's got the Harbaughs behind him. He's got some good, and he's a great coach. And he's kind of lost himself, in running around and, doing all these things that's unnatural. of trying to find out who said what, who did what, or whatever he was trying to do. I just didn't like that part of it.
Now, Mr. Campbell, you're just getting here. I was wondering, do you think Sherrone Moore ultimately got this message?
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. Black queens forever.
Do you think he got though? He didn't get that message, did he, Mr. Campbell?
Well, you need to go back. He said he doesn't. There's a quote that's going around, and he said it because I saw it. He said, you know, he coached in Kansas, he lived in New Jersey and stuff like that. He doesn't see color. Anytime somebody said they don't see color, I automatically walk the other way.
Well, you know, he was raised in Derby, Kansas, and I lived in Kansas. I lived in Winfield, Kansas, and I lived in Fort Scott, Kansas. I know where Derby exactly at. And ain't nothing there in Derby. It's a one-light town.
You know, Mr. Campbell, you're a historian. You follow college football for many years, just like I have, and Coach Cole has been a coach. When we hear things like this happen to a black man, much like what happened to Mel Tucker, who when there's not very many Power 5, Power 4 black coaches, I wonder how you got, like I told Coach Cole earlier, I was disappointed, even saddened to find out he was fired. And even the reason he was fired saddened me even more. And how does it land for somebody, you know, that has followed the sport just like I have?
Well, here's the thing, man, and Coach says this a lot. There are not too many of these jobs. And what's disappointing to me, and listen, white boys do it too. So like I say, Rick Pitino, and like I say, so I don't want to hear Rick Pitino was at the highest of the height. And was banging that chick in an Italian restaurant down in Louisville, and they had to get him gone. So I'm not going to go there. But what I will say is, as a black man, you already know. Hey, listen, man, the rule is the rule, and no matter what you know, they're gonna watch you 50 times more. So for him to sit back there and know that, first of all, half of the Michigan people didn't want him to have that job. They didn't. To your point, like Coach said, Harbaugh blessed him. He had beaten Ohio State that year when Harbaugh got suspended. He came back and beat him. And I'll say this: they didn't have a bad year. They went 9-3 with a freshman quarterback. Those boys are about to be loaded. So I don't. Y'all must didn't watch Michigan football because they lost. Yeah.
They didn't have a dynamic offense, but I say this: it wasn't much better than it was with the Harbaugh offense. Wasn't much better.
Well, but see, dynamic doesn't mean win. They were 9-3. And they lost to Ohio State, they lost to SC, and they lost to one other team I looked at.
Texas.
That was who?
OU.
OU.
Yeah, it seems like three of the teams that they lost to, two of the teams they lost to are in the playoffs.
In the playoffs with a freshman quarterback. So 9-3, they weren't going to fire this guy because the 9-3, and they were having a top 10 recruiting class and was bringing in the number 1 running back. So Michigan had that thing.
Did deliver the number 1 running back, and I think the timing of his firing is not surprising to me that he didn't get fired or released till after National Signing Day.
Well, that's the whole thing exactly. So of course the time, but again, see, listen, man, and I'm gonna say this again, and I don't care who don't like. I don't want to hear the conspiracy theories. First of all, he's married. Let's start there. He's married. So that's the first thing, you stupid. So you're already married. Then you get you a side piece, and you know this is going to end bad because, and like I say, whatever you want to believe, they broke up. She got mad because she denied it, allegedly.
Yes.
Then they broke up, and then she did what white women do. And now all of a sudden, TMZ got her where she reported talking about he was stalking her. See, that's the reason why you can't play this game. And there's no woman on this earth, but we've seen powerful men that follow Bill Clinton and all this. I've never understood, because I'm not one of those type of men. I'm not an animal, because I'm not going to lose. Well, he got his $10 million, $15 million over average white girl. It just ain't happening. And I'm sorry, that just doesn't make any sense. And him to be in that high profile position, he know they watching him. You can't do anything out of the ordinary. They're not going to let you pass.
Well, you know, now that I've read a lot, and I think his background from being from Derby, Kansas, and raising up around all white folks. Like I said, I've lived there, and I know what those white folks think of us. And I think he lost himself. I've been reading some of the comments from our viewers, and man, you can name this. This happens all the time. I'm just upset as a black man that he loses himself. You know what I mean? Into this job. You know what I mean? Man, whenever just getting up in the morning and having a job to go to ain't enough, and you need something more to make you happy. Yeah, something is wrong with you. He still now done ran away with millions of dollars. He's got millions of dollars in the bank. You know what I mean? He's probably a millionaire. I mean, lick your wounds, man. You got to stand up as a man and go home to your wife and look her in the eye, and ask her forgiveness and her parents' forgiveness, and then close it down. You know what I'm saying? And get quiet. I didn't like where he just ran around, and I'm in suicide watch. I just, but I understand too that now, of course, I'm, reading more and more about he has some mental health issues.
Hey, Coach, we ain't gonna be on here long. We got about 10 minutes. We gonna let some people jump on here and get on here and share their thoughts if they would like to. But I would like to thank everybody who's watching on the Off Script channel. Everybody who's watching on the Off Script channel. We're about to suspend the live on the Off Script channel and continue on the Rocky Miller channel. So go ahead and switch over. I've put the link in the chat so you can go ahead and click over and continue this conversation on the Rocky Miller channel. Much love, everybody who's watching I want to thank everybody who's watching on the Off Script channel, but we're going to suspend the live and continue to have this conversation on the Rocky Miller channel. Hit ones once you done switched over. Just type 1. I'll give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and do that, and type 1 once you've switched over. Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, so, when you're sitting up here and you're looking at this situation, and again, Ime Udoka, he's dating one of the most beautiful black women in America. And the same thing. It's insane that you put yourselves in this position. And like Coach said, you really thought those people not gonna know you gave that white woman a $50,000 raise?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And like I say, and my thing is even more dangerous. People don't understand. He might do jail time between 1 to 5 years right now because of assault. That's a felony. That ain't no misdemeanor. Yeah. So not only